Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our November Oregon City Business Alliance Forum. I'm Renata Mengelberg. I'm the Vice President of the Oregon City Business Alliance. I want to thank you so much for coming today, and to our generous sponsor, Clackamas Community College. Thank you. I'd like to recognize several elected officials that are with us today. We have Adam Merle, Oregon City Commissioner. Thank you for coming, Adam. Tessa Dannell, who is the Commissioner for Clackamas River Water. Thank you for coming. And we also have... Okay, Brian Nava with County, thank you. And Amy Nickel, who will be running for Clackamas County Commission. All right. So as a reminder, as you hear the presentation, please write down any questions you might have. Hold them up. Someone will pick them up, and we'll have that for our question and answer session at the end of the forum. Today's forum will focus on the vision for Clackamas Community College's future. The college has long been an economic driver in the county, supporting industries, serving local businesses, and benefiting the county as a whole. We will hear plans for its future, opportunities to enhance the student experience, ways to bolster community ties, and to continue its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have two main speakers today. Dr. Tim Cook has nearly 30 years of experience working in higher education as an educator, advisor, counselor, faculty member, and administrator. He's a native of Oregon City, has joined Clackamas Community College as its president in 2018. He's a first-generation college student. President Cook understands how community colleges provide economic mobility for students and the communities they live in. Also, we have Jeff Schaefer. He oversees the college services side of Clackamas Community College, which includes business and campus services, information technology, college safety, the bookstore, and human resources. He has over 29 years of public government experience in the local metro area. He joined Clackamas Community College in 2017 and was previously a director of finance and business operations for Portland Parks and Recreation. Please welcome our panelists.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to present in front of the Business Alliance again. I've been here a few times before, so it's good to see a number of familiar faces. I do want to recognize a few of our board members and staff that are here today before I jump in. I believe Directors Wade Hathorn and Director Aaron Woods are on Zoom today. And our chair, Kathy Heisey, I think was either planning on coming and joining us in person or will be on Zoom as well. So thank you both, or all three of them, for being here with us. Also, I want to recognize some staff. Lori Hall, our Director of College Relations and Marketing, and Bob Cochran, our Director of Facilities, is here, and Deborah Mason, our Director of our foundation, and Haley Sposky from Foundation are here as well, and Rob Campbell from our Small Business Center is also here as well, our Small Business Development Center. I hope I got everybody. I'm looking around to see if I missed any. I think we've got a few more online as well too. Before we jump into the presentation here, we are a higher ed institution. We are the higher ed institution here in the county, and so I want to start with a little quiz. And I've got there is some swag here too. So just in case you want some motivation to be a part of this. First, though, can you please raise your hand if you've received a certificate or degree from Clackamas Community College? A couple there. How about if you've ever taken a class at Clackamas Community College? Gosh, maybe a third or so folks there, a quarter to a third there. How about your child, spouse, relative that went to CCC for something? Okay, now we're getting closer to about half. I'm getting that fun. And so beyond that, if you've ever attended a theater performance, a sports performance, you've walked on our campus, you actually know where Clackamas Community College is. That was my hope, is that we got all that, pretty much all the hands up. So thank you for that, because it's nice to see that there is such a strong connection with the community college and with everyone here. Now for a little bit of swag, and Lori's going to help me with this. So you have to raise your hand, and I'll try to get the first person that raises their hand for this, and I'll do my best. So what year did Clackamas Community College start offering classes? Well, that was easy. Okay, Craig. 65 is so close, but not quite there. 63 is going the other direction, but thank you. 66, Petronella, is the year that the college started. You know, it's a great thing about quizzes. Sometimes you can just keep guessing until you get it right. So yeah, we're getting close to our 60th year at the college, which we look forward to celebrating as well. So another one where you can just in case you didn't know, I didn't know this until I was looking at it. 66 was also the year that I-5 was completed. That seems like crazy to me that was that long ago that was finally done. So another one where you can do a little guessing. How many certificate and degree programs does CCC offer? It's 107? Oh my gosh, that is so close. That's amazing. 108 is the correct answer. Yeah. Let's see. Look at that. You know. Education in action. Look at this. Look what people know here. And so, what would you say is the average age of the students at Clackamas Community College? 35 is a little high. 34 is still a little high. 29 is just right under. 30? Who said 30? Who said 30? Well, I'm not sure who said that first. Petronella already won one, so you have to take an advanced class. Matt, did you say 30? Okay, so Matt Broderick got the 30. Thank you, Matt. And then the last question. Clackamas Community College is the 4-time national champion winners in what sport? Wrestling. Brian Nava gets it. Yeah. Not a lot of people know that, but we actually get college wrestlers from all over the country that come to Clackamas to wrestle because of how strong that program is. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. Vice President Schaefer and I are going to spend some time with you talking a little bit. I'm going to start off talking a little bit about the economic impact that we bring to the county, and you have all of that information in a nice handout on your table, so you can take that with you. But I want to get into that a little bit in depth. And then we're going to move in and talk a little bit, and Vice President Schaefer is going to talk a little bit about some of the projects we're considering for our 2024 bond renewal. And so partly what we're looking to you all today is to give us some feedback about where we're headed as a college, and where you think we might be on track, or if you've got some other questions or concerns about that information. So as you look at these slides and kind of think about this, and you're asking your questions, please feel free to provide us some of that feedback. Okay. So the 50,000 square foot view, just so you have this for context. Clackamas County data is about $27 billion in GRP annually. This is from a 21-22 year, and about 248,000 jobs in Clackamas County overall. The little bar graph up there actually shows the earnings that students can make at different educational levels. So you see this all the time. You know, if you get a college degree, if you get an associate's degree. High school graduates right now make about $36,000 a year. It jumps up to about $45,000 a year if you have an associate's degree, or $64,000 if you have a bachelor's degree. Our students and our employees at the college, we have just about, and actually these numbers have gone up, because our enrollments are up about 10% now, and people are really coming back pretty strongly to higher ed, which is great. But in 21-22, we had just about 18,500 students at the college. About 11,000 of those are what we call credit students, meaning that they're looking to get an associate's degree or a certificate. And the almost 8,000 of those non-credit could be folks that are working on a class to build up their business skills. It could be that they're doing something for personal enrichment. It could be that they're working on a GED or some other type of developmental kind of a work. But I will say, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but we're seeing overall an increase in the number of non-credit students overall at the college, and that seems to be a real growing area in addition to the credit students. We pay out about $57 million in payroll every year in 21-22 with about 950 employees. Just under 500 full-time, so a lot of part-time employees, a lot of part-time faculty, and the rest that make up that 947. And then a key number on this at the bottom, this 27% we get our students that are coming actually from outside of Clackamas County to come to Clackamas. So we are a draw. Here in the county, that people are coming because of a specific program that they can't get somewhere else, or because of our reputation, or because of some other reason. So when we commissioned this report, I should take a step back. We commissioned this report last year. The community colleges and the state commissioned a statewide report on our economic impact because we want to use that to get more funding from the state. But each of us also did a local report as well, so we could find out what we're getting to the community. So Lightcast is a national economic modeling company that really has worked with us on this and brought this forward. When they presented this information to us, they said, think about this in terms of if Clackamas Community College did not exist, what would be the impact on Clackamas County? And so if you think about these numbers in terms of that, if we were not here, these would be economic impacts that we would not be able to have in this county. And so that 27% is an important number in that sense. If we weren't here, we might not be attracting those folks to come in here and spend their money. So the red is what we're bringing into the county as far as funds and support. And then the blue, as you look at that, is the ROI, or the return on investment. And so I'm going to get into a little bit more in each of these and talk a little bit more about these. But overall, we're contributing just about $315 million to the county, 1.2% of the overall GRP I talked about, supporting nearly 4,000 jobs. For our students, every dollar that they spend on tuition or books or supplies, we're returning back $4.20 over their work life. For taxpayers, it's $1.30. For every tax dollar that's put in, the benefit to taxpayers is $1.30. And then for society, and if you think about that in terms of we're providing family wage jobs, we're giving people an opportunity to really increase their ability to thrive and to contribute back to society, it's a contribution of $6.50 for every dollar that comes in. So, and this kind of breaks it up into a little bit more detail on, again, where this funding's coming from, that overall $315 million. So as I said, we employed 947 full-time, part-time faculty and staff with our payroll at 57. And the college spent another $25 million on day-to-day expenses related to our facilities, supplies, and professional services. So that's where you get that $66 million in just operations. Our students are spending about another $9 million here in town on a variety of things, whether that's food, whether that's supplies, and bringing that in. And again, because so many of them are coming from outside, we would not necessarily have that. I do have to say a caveat that obviously some folks would be here, are staying in here, raised up in the county and stayed here and got that as well. So you can't attribute all of that to outside, but it is an important one. And then our alumni impact. I think this is a really important one. That's why I asked that question at the beginning, how many of you had actually gone here or knew somebody that had gone here. You think about the hundreds and thousands of students over the years, almost 60 years that have graduated from the college that are now staying in Clackamas County. Upwards of 85% of our graduates stick around in Clackamas County after they're done. And the overall economic impact that they're bringing every single year through an increase in, and how they're contributing through taxes and the rest. So $239 million for our alumni and added county income is a pretty big deal. And just, again, delving into this a little bit more, the students paying those tuition dollars, whether it's fees, supplies, interest, if they take out student loans, so on. They also, what went into that numbers, they also forewent $23 million of money that they would have earned had they been working instead of attending college. So that analysis is not just about how much money they're paying, it's about how much money, opportunity loss that they had while they're in college to go into that. So that return on investment of 19.1% per year is a pretty big deal for those students that are choosing to spend that amount of time to really get a degree, because over their life, again, they're gonna earn that $4.20 for every dollar every year that they're working. Taxpayer, perspective is not as exciting as the 1 point. As the 4.2, it's a 1.3, but we're still returning $1.30 for every dollar that's invested just with the taxpayer dollars, and of course doesn't include everybody that's really in our county and part of that as well. So that 1.8 is, it's not a huge number, but it's an important one. And then the social perspective, we didn't get a rate of return on that, the 6.5, because it's not that. The calculation is not the same people benefiting from those dollars as the same people putting them in, so you couldn't get the rate of return on it, but it's still a pretty impressive overall number that we're contributing to the county through that increased income and increased ability to benefit. So I talk all the time, probably every presentation I give, that community is the middle name at Clackamas Community College. And we really take that seriously. We look to partner wherever we can at the college with a number of businesses, organizations, and the rest. This is just a few of the folks that we partner with. And it's really, I think it's important that we are good, not only contributing economically, but that we're good community partners. And so it's something that we continue to look at. And I would say that as we look ahead and continue to partner, I want to highlight just a few of our more recent partnerships that we're looking at. Many of you know that we partnered with the Clackamas Free Clinic, and they opened up this summer to offer entirely free health care for the community. They've been doing that for a long time and needed a new space, and they moved onto our campus, and now our students have access to that along with the community. But also, I think the exciting piece is our healthcare students have places where they can do practicums and they can get experience right there on campus as well that also benefits the clinic. Part of that is FEM Forward is a mobile company that provides reproductive health that actually is coming on and providing that as well as part of the free clinic. They're coming on a couple times a month providing that as a service. Kelly Ace is here from the YMCA, and so I don't know where Kelly's at. I want to thank Kelly. We are getting ready, next week or the week after to open up our drop-in childcare. I said healthcare earlier when I did this too. Drop-in childcare. The Y has offered on-care childcare and Head Start for decades on our campus. We've offered childcare, and we also train early childhood students there at the college. But our students came forward to us a while back and said, they don't need full day childcare. They don't need even half day. They need like a drop-in, like 1 or 2 hours while they're taking a class or taking a test. And could we do that? And so thanks to the Y, we're getting ready to start offering that here in a couple weeks. So thank you. 2 weeks ago, the Oregon City Farmers Market had their first event on our campus. So every 2 weeks during the winter, it poured rain that day, but it was still awesome. It was going out there and seeing everybody, and it was really nice. And then Jeff's going to talk about this in a little more detail, but the OSU Extension Department has been in talks with us now for over a year, and also with some folks at the county about moving onto our campus. And so part of what we're exploring with this new bond is a shared partnership building with OSU Extension that could really be kind of a game changer, I think, for Clackamas County in the sense that it'll allow us to really provide a center of excellence for what's kind of called now precision farming or advanced manufacturing and farming, and along with our wildland fire and some of our other programs as well. And so if we're able to pull off this partnership, it's going to be a real big win for us, for OSU, and I think for the county as we really look at providing some high-quality workforce education, particularly around horticulture and some of those areas as we go along. When I came before you last year at this time, I was giving more of a talk around how education and how students have changed since the pandemic and since before the pandemic. And that has had a big impact on how we think about how we're going to move forward and how we're going to offer education here in this kind of world that we all live in that's really changed. And so, I framed it at the time, and I still think about it this way, is that, how are our students changing, how is the workforce changing, and how is the college changing to really adapt and accommodate that. So I've got just a kind of a condensed version of that I want to share a little bit before we jump into some of the projects. So the number of high school graduates overall in the county is changing, and actually in the country is changing. And I always have to be careful about this one and say it's not that there are fewer, that the high schools are not graduating enough, it's that there are just fewer high schoolers. There are fewer kids overall. The birth rates have been declining for decades, and now there's this kind of demographic cliff that's really impacting universities. It's actually impacting K-12 through higher ed, and this declining, which is supposed to go until about 2034. So we'll have just fewer high schoolers in general coming. Adults 30 and older are increasing, so right now our average age is 30. I would expect that to continue to increase. Last year our youngest graduate was 15, our oldest was 71. And so we really, educate kind of everybody, but what we're seeing now is that we're getting more and more parents, single parents, coupled parents that are, going to school, mostly part-time. About 70% of our students are part-time. They're working and trying to go to school and get that done. So we're really seeing a lot of changes in how people are accessing education. And then definitely the county's becoming much more racially diverse. About a third of our students now identify as a different racial ethnicity than white, and that's continuing growing as well as we're seeing that coming up. And so we have the biggest increase for us is in Latin A and Latinx students. It's about 20% of our students now fall into that category, and that's also our biggest growing there. And then, as I've said a number of times, and our foundation has taken on this as a major project, the basic needs for these students have changed. Over 40% of our students have identified that they've been food insecure in the last month. So we have food pantries now that we support on all of our campuses. And almost just under 20%, 19% of our students had reported that at some time in the last year they'd been houseless and aren't sure where they're going to live. So we spend a lot of time now really thinking about how we support students with food, with housing, with transportation, and a number of other costs that we didn't really have to think about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And so to kind of keep them in school, we look at that as well and where we can make those changes. At the same time, the work that we do to educate, our mission is really that we're educating future employees for all of you and for all of Clackamas County. That's really, why we're here, is to make sure that we have relevant education, innovative education, and get that done. And so it's on us to really make sure that we're always thinking about 3 to 5 years out, making sure that we have the clearest information and data about what programs are going to be needed, where we need to pivot, and how we need to offer that. So what we're seeing, and this is just a few of the examples, but what we're seeing in these changes is that there is a difference now in how people think about credit and non-credit. It used to be, employers wanted, a bachelor's degree or a certificate or something, and that's still true, but you're seeing a lot of particularly high-tech companies, the Googles, Amazons of the world that are offering their own non-credit training programs and are hiring people and just working them up. And we're hearing from some of our employers here in Clackamas County is like, we aren't necessarily interested in the credit per se as the skills, the relevant skills people need to get to work. And so as we think about that shift, we're trying to think about how do we offer those, and frankly, sometimes it's easier for us to offer a non-credit offering because we don't have to go through the accreditation process, which is pretty robust. We can do it quicker, and then how do we come back later and give people credit for that if they want to come back and get a degree or something? So there's badging, there's laddering, there's a number of different things that we look at because as I said before, I think the trend is we'll see more and more of this non-credit work along with our credit work, but it's a different kind of a world in the sense that how do you then show up for a job interview with sort of this list of skills as opposed to a degree and be able to articulate that. Micro-credentials are really popular, and the best example I have is we've got a really robust manufacturing degree program, a number of different ways to get that in a year or two, and we had companies coming to us the last couple of years and saying, I'm just desperate for CNC operators, CNC machine operators. So we went in and broke that up and created a certificate that you can get, a short-term certificate you can get in less than 3 months for a CNC, an entry-level CNC machine operator. That's kind of a micro-credential, and then you can come back and build on that later and get that done. But employers are getting snapped up, or graduates are getting snapped up for that. And then on demand, just in time. So, we hear this constantly. How can we, I don't have time to take a 10-week course, or I don't have time to give up employees for this. How can we really be quick and responsive and offer classes that are going to work with employees? And I'll call out Rob Campbell here, the Small Business Development Center. Rob's a go-getter. He's an innovator. Many of you know him. Really, we're fortunate to have him here in the county. Rob's like, I want to be the Netflix of education, of higher education here. And I was like, that is really kind of a good way to think about this. How do we really have this array of programs that people can access when they need to? And then how can you do the Netflix thing like, hey, you showed an interest in automotive. You might also be interested in these. Take a look at this class. Really, we need thinkers like that. We have a number of folks on campus that really think that way too. And it's important that we're constantly going that way, because there's, the other changing world in higher ed is, we're not the only game in town. You can do all sorts of things online. You can go to a number of different places. And so we have to always be thinking about what is it that we bring that's really different or special that makes people want to choose us over some of these other opportunities. We've got a beautiful makerspace. Some of you have had a chance to come in and do that. The great thing about the makerspace is it exposes the community to a number of different high-tech tools and basic wood cutting and machining tools that might either get them thinking about a program or a class, or just gets them looking at our campus, or thinking about how they can start their own business here in the county. So pretty interesting things about where we're responding to workforce or what they need. But really what we're here to talk about is where we're headed. I love the picture on the left. That is from Clackamas Community College, circa 1970 something. A typewriting class, it looks like. How many of you had to take typewriting at some point growing up? Me too. I think I'm still okay at it, but I love that picture. And then, we've got next door, as we're looking at a picture from our manufacturing program. And so, I get this question often. I expect to get it today, so I'm just going to kind of preempt it. You can ask more if you want to. They're like, education's changing so much. There's so much online. There's so many different opportunities now. Why does the college need to think about buildings? Why do you need to think about facilities and some of these other programs? The reality for us, and I don't think we're unique, especially amongst community colleges. So much of what we do, you need to be face to face. And you need to be really in there, and you need to have state-of-the-art machinery. Our ITC building has, just amazing. We're really fortunate and have all the support that we get, programs in there. And I would say that's true for many of our programs, that you can do some of that online, and we found that we've gotten better at offering some of this work online. But in the future, what seems to be really going to set us apart and set other people apart is how well we manage this blend of online and face-to-face instruction. And there's always going to be a handful of folks that say, I don't have time. I have to, I can only take an online class. I've got kids. I've got to work. I need to study at like midnight or something. And so we offer a number of online classes for them, and because they're asking for that, and they need that. Most of the people tell us, though, most of the students say, I want some sort of opportunity to interact. I want some sort of opportunity to be around others, and I need to be hands-on. We heard from many students during the pandemic, and we lost many students during the pandemic that just couldn't do online education. So the research is really clear, and I say this a lot too. The best type of learning actually now is really some sort of hybrid or blended learning. And if you think about a classroom, it's pretty expensive to bring people together, right? You think about gas, you think about people's time, you think about all that to bring people into a room like this. We have to be really thoughtful in our classes now and say, what is the reason I need people to be here today? What are we learning? What are we working on? What kind of equipment do we have that people have to be in the room, as opposed to if I'm just showing a video, or if I've got something that people can read and respond to online. So, people learn at different rates. So if you've really planned your class well, and you've got some reading or some video people to watch, some people are going to get that really quick. So other people are going to need to watch it again, and they've got time to do that. They've got time to respond to questions. And then when you bring everyone together, they've all got that shared information and are able to really learn at the rate they need to. The idea that we all learn and all need to sit there for 10 weeks at the same time and all learn at the same rate is about a 300-year-old idea that its time is long past. So to be concise, we don't ever see a future where everything we're doing is online, because I don't think that's going to serve our community well. But we've gotten really good, and we're getting better all the time at really figuring out where do we need folks to come in, and where can we do some of this work outside of that as we do it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vice President Schaefer, who's going to share with you some of the work that we've been doing over the last couple of years to kind of think about where we're headed next regarding our programs and facilities. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, President Cook. Jeff Schaefer, Vice President of Finance and Operations for the college. As President Cook mentioned, this is where we're headed. I still wanted to start us with like a little bit of the past. Like where does this bond come from? So for those who don't know, I think a lot of people in this room probably know, but general obligation bonds are a tool that local taxing districts have to do capital projects where you need to build a new building because of expansion or some need in your tax district. So really what happened, and for those who don't know, in the late 90s we had a lot of property tax legislation that really caused some issues for a lot of the local taxing districts to even be able to have flexibility in their tax rates. So general obligation bonds became really the key mechanism for a lot of our school districts, fire districts, community colleges, counties, to be able to expand and meet their needs for capital infrastructure. So CCC got into this in 2000. About 25 years ago, we decided we really needed an art center, our Nehemiah Theater, our Rook Student Center. We went through an intensive master plan at the time, and we went out to the elected district and were able to pass a bond, our first bond of a GO bond at 54% to 46%. So that's where this bond that we're renewing here in 2024 started. It's 10-year. We did go through, and as you'll see in May of 2011, we came up with an idea that, boy, we could probably renew this bond and build some more buildings, and we could add 10 cents to it. And we didn't have as much of a timeline or as much of a good plan in place and a big communication plan. We didn't message it as a renewal. We messaged it more of adding the 10 cents. And what you end up seeing there in that middle column was it failed 38% yes to 62% no. So we learned a lot of lessons out of that. We came back the next year, and a team got together and spent a very long 18-month campaign to work on Imagine Clackamas. Thank you, Shelley. I know you were part of that work. And it was really a strong education effort to really let the folks know this is what we're planning. We're going to build these basic needs for our students that we have in a master plan, and we really did a good job with that 2014 bond campaign. And one nice piece of that, it was really built in a two-phase structure with the way they structured it as a renewal bond that could then also be renewed with phase 2 to come when the original 2020 or 2000 bonds ended in 2025 or 2024. So that really became the where we're at today, is that phase 2 piece of that renewal that they set up for us 10 years ago. So that's our most recent bond that's built a lot of buildings that we have. It passed 53% to 47%. And have a list of just some of those accomplishments here. It was $90 million. We also leveraged over $46 million in other funds to go with that $90 million. You'll see a lot of state matches. We had good rates, credit rating went up, and we got good premiums at the time. We also got a lot of grants and made interest. So we were able to build quite a bit with that. As you can see, we built the second building at Harmony. We built our Industrial Technology Center. We had added to our Science Center at Desjardins. We built a one-stop student welcome center, and a number of other upgrades around our campus. And so that's just a list that you can see of all of what we did with that 2014 list. And then coming forward from that, we said, okay, well, we know in 2024 is that second phase of this. And the first phase was really to focus on what are our basic gaps and needs for new buildings, but we still need to take care of these buildings that we built in the 70s that were 50 years old. So this is a lot of what we started focusing on this next phase of our master planning is like, what about our older buildings? How do we get those up to date? How do we take some of those 25-year-old buildings that we built and get those ready for the new technology that's evolving right now for modernization? And what are our students telling us around campus? What are some things that are just not feeling as welcoming and they would like us to make upgrades to? So we did a very intensive master planning process over the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years, where we talked to our community, we talked to our students, we were finding out what they were giving us feedback on the different modalities, the space utilization, and I really think Tim hit on a lot of this with the changing needs for different environments around campus that we were seeing. So that's a lot of the work that we've been doing over the last few years to feed into a number of different projects. Over $300 million actually of projects that we've been working towards for this next upcoming 2024 November election bond. So those project areas, so we took that group of 300 million or so projects and we put them into categories, and that's really where we're at now as we've been working through this list of categories. The bond itself could probably only as a renewal generate about 100 to 120 million, and we've come up with about $300 million worth of projects, so it's obviously way more of a list than we could do with the amount of money we have. But we started off with, let's talk to our folks, let's talk to our students, let's talk to our staff, let's talk to an internal group to prioritize these things. And that's a lot of where we're at right now, is we're really looking through this whole list of $300 million worth of projects and deciding what are the priorities for the college, what are the priorities for our communities, and what could get us to really a good bond campaign to come up for 2024. So here's some of our project categories we're polling and working on right now internally. So one would be, coming out of those master plans, was modernizing our learning spaces. So this was talking about some of our current buildings that were built. As you see, these are a lot of the ones that were built. 25, Barlow is actually one of the ones built 50 years ago. These buildings are traditional classrooms, and we're seeing that a lot of the traditional classrooms aren't really what students are needing today, is that traditional desks in front of a board. So this was one of the pieces that came out, was how could we start modernizing some of our buildings to meet the current teaching and learning needs of today. Another category was our athletics. We hadn't updated our athletics plan for a long time, so we went through, and one of the things that came out of this was there was really a lot of energy around, if anybody's walked the loop, we've been working on the loop for years, but it actually is not a complete loop of a walking trail all the way around. You actually have to go out on the street or go into the grass. So one of the things we worked on was, we'd really like to meet that community need and make that a nice, inviting loop all the way around the 1 mile loop. Along with track and field renovations would allow us to be able to do full-scale events there, and grandstands, covered grandstands and lighting would allow for an outdoor graduation and allow us to actually program that space. So we could do a lot more with that space out there. And there was also energy over a synthetic soccer field that could be soccer, lacrosse, something in that middle of that track. So we could actually have a more focused program space in our athletics field. Another area category we had was really one of the larger, $40 million in itself, was just looking over the next future 20 years of our aging infrastructure. So this is those 50-year-old buildings, and they're using, a great example is you just have old buildings that have old systems, old pipes, and a lot of different upgrades that need to be done for all these old buildings. We also have a lot of upgraded technology needs around these old buildings. So this is a category that we did a master plan on. What are all these different improvements that we need to make to our old buildings to get them up to date and get them seismically ready so they're meeting our current standards. We also have a really exciting piece that came out of our master plan was, I think President Cook hit on this, which was an idea to renovate our east campus, side of the campus, which is off of Beaver Creek Road. It's where we currently have our horticulture area, and the idea behind this project would be to make it really a center of excellence for horticulture, farming, welding, and wildland fire. And as mentioned, this is an exciting opportunity. The OSU Extension has mentioned they would like to partner with us if they could have a floor of that building and be part of that same center of excellence that we would have right off there to kind of be a staple right off of that Beaver Creek Road entrance, which is kind of just a back road entrance at this point. So that's an exciting project that we've been working on as part of this master plan as well. We were also talking about security and safety for our campuses. We have a lot of old security systems out there, so this would be a category about upgrading all of our cameras and our access control for buildings. So instead of using lock and keys on all the doors, we'd be able to do a lot more access control through key cards. There's also another partnership we've been working on possibly bringing to our campus, which is a Challenger Center partnership, which is a STEM educational nonprofit organization that develops hands-on simulated programs. A lot of these students are field trips from middle schools that come and bring those middle schoolers to our campus, and they actually get to do some hands-on scientific fun projects out there on these field trips. So it really is an opportunity to kind of expose a lot of the local middle schools to our campus. So we've been talking about this as a possible project. Another thing that's come up is partnerships. We have a lot of space, but we also have a lot of partnerships, and I think President Cook mentioned this with the Y. We have some existing ones we're working on, but we also identified in our master plan there's property out there at Wilsonville that could have a partnership building put on there. We also have our Harmony campus out at Milwaukee that has space where we could partner potentially with another healthcare industry partner in that space, because that's very heavy on our health sciences area, and along with any other partnerships that we could work on around campus. So we are also looking at doing some partnership opportunities with this bond measure. And then, of course, improving our energy efficiency. When you have a lot of old buildings, a lot of them are not very energy efficient. One of the pieces we did an audit to look at where we had opportunities to retrofit buildings, to get things more up to date. The central plant replacement is a very good example of this, where we have one enormous chiller that takes a lot of maintenance and repair, and it's currently heating and cooling 5 of our big 50-year-old buildings. So this would be an opportunity for us to say, where can we take individual buildings, get HVAC heating and cooling units that are programmed to specifically heat and cool when those are being programmed. So this would be an opportunity for us to use capital dollars to save a lot of operating dollars. So, because those are really operating, a big chunk of our operating costs are our utility rates, and they are going up a lot more than inflation right now. So that's an opportunity for us to say, where can we spend capital dollars to be better at what we do and have a more comfortable building and classroom, and actually save money and put it back in the classrooms where it needs to be. We're also, we're looking, part of our master plan was a discussion about expanding our Wachino one-stop student center, which for anybody who's seen it, we built the original Wachino student center right next to our old community center. We connected the two, but right now we have the new building connected to the old brick building. And this was what came out of that master plan, would be an opportunity to also renovate that second half of that building to make it one full brand new building. So it really would be just repurposing the older building with the second half of the existing Wachino building. And then the last, I think, of the categories here is to really work on our quad area. Although this is a better picture of it, but there's a lot of areas of disrepair around our quad is our internal campus walkway area between all the buildings. So this is really to make it more inviting, to make some safety improvements, make some lighting improvements, have some spots where there are more student areas to sit and study. It's not very inviting right now. There's a couple good spots, but a lot of it doesn't get used, and it has a lot of opportunity for us. So next steps for us was really to go through where we're at here. Is we're just in the middle where we're saying we've kind of gone through all this development of this $300 million worth of projects, but we really want to come through and say, what does everybody think? What are your thoughts about this? So we're really going through right now and meeting the community, meeting the students, meeting our staff, and trying to get a sense of where everybody's priorities are. What does the community feel are some of the things that resonate with them out of this list? And that'll help us generate a a bond list that we can go forward with to our board next spring, which is really where we start getting into that April of 2024. Between those last two is really when you have to bring it to your Board of Education to then vote on it and say, okay, this is what we're going to go forward with, is this amount of bond for the renewal of that 2024 for the November election. So that's really the list of projects and the overview of what we'd be looking at going forward. One thing that we did want to ask this group, and we're trying to get some feedback on, what resonates most to you? I know some of these are depending on how you read them, but like, is it the leading students to success? Is it providing community connections with these projects? Is it the preserving and maintaining your facilities? Or is it getting the college and the teaching and learning ready for the future? So that's really what we're looking for and we're trying to get a sense of some of this, because a lot of this is what right now is we're getting a sense from our community. What will poll well? What does the community really support? So that's a lot of the questions we're asking here today. So I guess if I were just to ask the room, this might be a good opportunity for folks to give us a little bit of feedback. Who here, raise your hand if you think what resonates with you, the leading the students to success. Okay. All right, what about providing our community connections, more community connections? Yeah. No rules, just whatever resonates the most with you. Oops, sorry. I was preserving and maintaining our college facilities. Strong contingent at that table. All right, and then preparing our students for the future of teaching and learning. All right, that's a winner there. That's good to know. This is some of the feedback we're getting too, because as we go and start putting items into the voters pamphlet, it's good to know what resonates with folks, so we have a good sense of where we're going forward. So, and then on your tables, if you flip over the blue cards, you should see a white side with a QR code. And that QR code on there will have, I believe it's those bond categories. And you can then put the bond categories and like, is it a Likert scale? So it should be a Likert scale of like a 1 to 5 scale of how they resonate with you on the bond categories. And I believe those last 4 bullets were on there too. So you can get an opportunity to formally give your vote on those for us. So some of the feedback we're looking for. So I think that's all we have. We're ready for questions.
Please thank our presenters. All right. So, as a reminder, if you have questions, please fill out the blue card and bring them forward, and we'll have a lively discussion. One question just to get us started, and I believe, President, that you mentioned this already, but maybe elaborate. Given the increase in online and hybrid learning since the pandemic, why would the college be asking for funding for new capital construction?
Yeah. Yeah, you can hear me okay. Yeah, I did hit on that a little bit, anticipating, because I get this question often. I'll back up. Prior to the pandemic, 10% of our classes were online. During the pandemic, 100% of our classes were online. Many of those were not very good. And we know that, and we learned from it. And then the challenge for us coming out of this was how much online education do we need to be offering? How much will be supported? So today, it's just about 40% of our classes have some sort of online component, whether that's a hybrid or fully online class. And that's, again, because that's demand that we're getting from, as I said, a lot of really working adults that, for many reasons, can't take a traditional 10 a.m. class, and they need this. But the majority of our classes still, the demand, or that what people want, is some sort of a face-to-face opportunity. So as we think about what Jeff was talking about, some of these older classrooms aren't really set up well to have maybe somebody, this new idea of thinking maybe somebody's on from home because they can't come in because they're ill or they have kids, and so they're watching or learning from the class. You've got students in the class, you've got the instructor that's kind of responding to all of this. It's difficult if you've ever run a hybrid meeting like in person and the rest to do it well. And the way our classrooms are designed is not really set up for that too. We need more flexible spaces and open spaces in some of these other places. And then one of the things we learned, some of our students, will be taking a face-to-face class and then have to jump onto a Zoom class like literally 5 minutes later. And they're trying to find spaces to do this. So they're like trying to find little crooks and corners and the rest. And so even like little tiny conference room spaces or, kind of a multi-use spaces where somebody can come on and get onto an online class is important. So we see the future as, trying to accommodate everyone. We did this funny survey. I say it's funny because we should have known the outcome. We asked our students, they said, what would you prefer? Online, face-to-face, some sort of hybrid, moving forward. What would you want? We're thinking we would get this clear answer about what we should be doing. If you can't guess their answer, they said, yes, we want all of those things. And we said, that's really unhelpful, but thank you for the feedback. And so we're really trying to do that. And part of this is making sure that we can really make sure that we've got the face-to-face learning options as we move forward.
Right. All right, thank you very much. Let's see. How will Clackamas Community College support critical sectors of the Clackamas County Climate Action Plan, like building retrofits, net zero construction, and renewable energy?
Do you want to hit that one?
Yeah, I can hit that one. And if I need to phone a friend, we do have Dean Cochran here as for facilities. I would say 1.5% of all of our projects go to energy improvements. We have an entire solar array on top of our Industrial Technical Center. And really, we've had some of that working towards the zero construction, net zero construction on our Harmony campus. We were working towards where would this look like. We haven't got there, but we are definitely working towards that as one of our goals. And I do think this is really as you saw, the energy efficiency program, that's good. That just gives you a sense of where we're going with a lot of this. Is anytime you can save the energy efficiency pieces in a capital construction and move those dollars out of a capital infrastructure and over into your operations is money well spent. It's just less that you're struggling with day-to-day operations in your general fund. So I think that's a key element of this bond, probably even more so in this bond than our last one, which was more about new stuff, and this is more about how do we take what we already have and make it better and more efficient and more modernized. So.
And I'll put in a quick plug. We have, if you don't know, a renewable energy program where we educate students to be able to design solar arrays, hydro energy, wind energy, biofuels, and the rest. And we actually just got a federal grant from the Biden administration for a little over $2 million to have apprenticeship programs in renewable energy programs. So we're looking at that curriculum and getting that up and running. So that will help inform some of this other work too around that question.
Great, and this is a question for President Cook. Talk about the partnership with the high school.
With the high school, partnership with the high schools. Yeah, super proud of our work with the high schools. And, I think this was probably referring to Oregon City since we're in Oregon City right now. And I'll always put in my plug, Commissioner Morrow, proud OC graduate, yeah, and real happy to see that. So 19% of our student FTE is high school students. And I see that as an opportunity to grow as we go along. Really good reasons that we want high school students to get exposed to college, junior, senior, if not even before that, if they can. I said this last year, so I'll repeat it again. Oregon is 45 out of 50 states in college-going rates. We are abysmal in this state about getting high school graduates into college. And there's a lot of reasons for that. That's a whole other presentation. But we need to do whatever we can here to help people understand that going to college doesn't necessarily mean a four-year degree. It could, or beyond. But there's a lot of apprenticeship programs. There's a lot of trade programs, CTE programs for people to do. And one of the best ways to expose people to that is, and we're fortunate with Oregon City High School literally being across the parking lot, that their students get to walk across and take our automotive classes, take our manufacturing classes, take whatever classes they want. In fact, Dr. Spitzer, the superintendent of Oregon City, and I met earlier this week to really talk about pathway programs reaching back earlier, into freshman year or even middle school. We had that one slide about middle school students, to not only expose, but to really give kind of tastes of these different programs to help people figure out what they want to do. So we partner, and I would say this if I were in anywhere else in the county, we partner really well with our high schools. I'm really proud of that. I attend, there's a monthly superintendent's meeting. There's 10 school districts in Clackamas County, and I attend those every month for the reason that I want to make sure that we're always aligned in what students need, high school students need, as they come up and come along. So it's great work that we do, but also lots more opportunity to do additional work.
Okay, thank you. What are the most popular areas of studies or majors, and how does that differ between younger students and older students?
Oh, that's a great question. So, if you're looking at just straight numbers, business continues to be a popular category that students put in. I used to say, when I used to do advising and counseling years ago, business is oftentimes what students will put when they think they're supposed to put something. They don't know what they're supposed to put as they figure that out. So they're figuring that out, and as they're thinking about transferring. So many of our students, are really popular programs are around healthcare. And so we have the whole campus in Harmony and Milwaukee around healthcare, nursing, medical assisting, dental assisting. Those programs we have waiting lists on them. They're expensive programs. We try to expand where we can. It's really difficult for us to find faculty, actually, to teach in those programs and facilities. Our automotive program continues to be really popular. We've got automotive technicians that are fixing cars, and we're making the shift to electric technology and battery technology through support from PGE to do that. And then we have the collision side. So, coming winter here, as people are crashing their cars, you can actually come to our college, and they can pound out dents and put on new bumpers, and actually we've got painting booths and all the rest. Really high demand, high pay jobs that we get for those. And then all this work that we're talking about with farming and horticulture is one of the I don't know if it's the best kept secret in town or not, but we really have great partnerships with the Nursery Association and folks in the county that are really growing crops and really growing a number of different things, and so that's a popular one as well. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple. Manufacturing, I don't know why I just forgot about manufacturing. Our whole ITC is around that. I tell you, it's probably every week I get somebody saying, we really need somebody to come in and do CNC machine operating and the rest. Boeing literally comes in and poaches students out before they've graduated in our welding program and in our machining program, because these companies are so, this need folks. It's a good problem to have, but when we look at our graduation rates, they're not great in welding and machining and the rest, because they're getting jobs before they graduate. And we try to work with the companies then to help them finish up, but it's really high demand.
Okay. And how have you considered building dorms due to housing issues?
Dorms, yes. No dorms. When I think dorms, I think like Animal House. And I should say my first 5 years of my career were managing dorms, so I have a little PTSD around that. We are looking at affordable housing, and we've been looking seriously at affordable housing for a few years now on campus. And what I mean by that is, when you think about a dorm, you think about, a couple people in a room and so on. We're really thinking about what can we build, or what can we partner with somebody to build that is maybe like, for families, or for kids, or for people that are trying to better their lives, increase, their workforce capacity and get a new degree, but they have some challenges there. So yes, you could technically call them dorms, but we're really trying to figure that out. The challenge we have, we do have land, and we've approached a few different organizations and are in conversations about that. Construction costs right now are just so prohibitive to make anything affordable. So when we look at that, it just doesn't pencil out for us to do it. So we're actually trying to, and if you know of any places, we're actually even now to the point where we're trying to find spaces in Oregon City or Clackamas County that maybe we could, with a partner, buy and refurbish. I'll give you an example. Mount Hood Community College just got a donation for $1. They got a donation of an old motel, and I think from the 90s or something, and they're raising the money now to refurbish all the rooms, put little kitchenettes in them, and make those viable for their students. So we're open to, and I've I'm in meetings all the time, I think Jeff is as well, where we're trying to figure out how to make this work and make it affordable for our students. So I should also note this, it's not something that we can put in the bond. We can't put housing into the bond. It's not an allowable part of that. So anything we do, we have to either partner with an outside entity or figure out a way to raise the funds ourselves.
Great. So we've come to the end of our questions, unless there's anything else from the group.
Thank you so much. Please take the time to go on that QR code and do the survey. We really need the feedback. It's a year out. We've got a lot of work to do to really refine and figure out what's going to make that happen. We are committed to being, your community's college and making sure that we're really doing the work and living our mission and providing really first-class graduates for the community and for Oregon City and beyond. So thank you all for your support.
All right. I'd like to thank both of our presenters, President Cook and Jeff Schaefer. I'd also like to thank Abernathy's staff for fabulous service and food that they always provide us. As you may know, we will not be having a forum in December, so I hope you'll enjoy the holidays with friends and family. We hope to see you again on January 23rd as we begin 2024 here at the Abernathy Center, as always, between 11:30 and 1. Thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.